Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can have a seat. Can you state your name?
Lindsay Harris.
All right. And Ms. Harris, how are you employed?
I am the commander at the Cherokee Sheriff's Office in the Intelligence Division.
Okay. And what does that mean?
I manage a unit that encompasses intelligence analysts that provide investigative support, as well as digital forensic acquisition and crime analysis.
Okay. And what does it mean to be in digital forensics or intelligence?
Various things, but ultimately there's a side of intelligence that extracts data from devices, whether it be cell phones or computers, and then there's the analysis of that information.
Okay. And so you indicated you're with the Sheriff's Office. What role do you play in sort of providing support services for other law enforcement agencies within Cherokee County?
So in particular, digital forensics, the tools we use are very expensive. So we purchase them at the Sheriff's Office, and we often assist other agencies that may not have the personnel or the equipment to do so in extracting devices.
Okay. And when you say extracting devices, what typically are you talking about?
So yeah, the term extracting is simply you take a phone, for instance, and you plug it to a piece of technology, and you follow some prompts, and it extracts the contents of the device.
Okay. And can you tell the jury a little bit about your background and training that sort of allows you to perform the functions that you perform?
Sure. I've been at the Sheriff's Office right at 7 years, where I've been an intelligence analyst as well as a digital forensic analyst. Prior to that, I worked 8 years at a federally run Drug Enforcement Administration task force. Again, there I provided investigative support and intelligence analysis, as well as particularly digital forensic analysis.
Okay. And in order to, have you testified as an expert in digital forensics before?
I have.
Okay. And in order to hold or maintain your status as a digital forensics expert, what type of trainings and continuing education do you complete?
We're continuously training to keep up with emerging technology. In particular, I am a certified criminal intelligence certified analyst through an international organization. That organization, you have to test and you have to do peer review essays. You have to have specific training courses as well as time on the job. I have a master's in public administration. I have a bachelor's in criminal justice, and I'm also nationally a real-time crime professional, which is a national certification as well, and a cybercrime intelligence analyst certified.
Okay. Any idea how many cell phone extractions you have completed in your career?
It's hard to give a number, but hundreds for sure.
All right. Your Honor, at this time I would tender Ms. Harris as an expert in digital forensics. No objection. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. You mentioned that you offer support services to outside agencies. Does that include Canton Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And specific with the case that we're here today for, State v. Chloe Driver, did you have any interaction with Detective Cruz about assisting on the intelligence side in processing any evidence that was collected in this case?
Yes. I believe Detective Cruz and Sergeant Hamilton reached out to a corporal at the Sheriff's Office and asked for assistance in the extraction of, I think, 3 devices relevant to this investigation.
Okay. And do you, can you tell the jury what those 3 devices were and whose devices they were?
Sure. So the 3 devices were all listed on an evidence control record, as well as provided with a search warrant. In order to drop off any phones to our laboratory, you must have a search warrant, which gives you the legal authorization to conduct the extraction, as well as an evidence control record in which we sign and take possession of the phone or phones. In this case, it was 3 different devices. They were labeled P1 through P3, and they were for a Sarah Stiles, a Brian Joyce, and a Chloe Driver.
Okay. And so were they all 3 cell phones?
Yes.
Okay. So Brian Joyce, Sarah Stiles, and Chloe Driver?
Yes.
All right. And when you use the word extraction, like what actual process are you using, and what are you able to pull from a device such as an iPhone?
So you mentioned iPhone, but every device is a little different. Even 2 iPhones can be very different because they're on different versions or they're different models. But the term extraction, again, is just the physical taking of data from the device into a system that reads it and then decodes it in a way that we have a report that's easily analyzable. But we use technology, and we have 2 different systems that we use depending on the device. Again, a lot depends on what type of device, what version of the technology it's running, and other factors include, has the device been powered off? Has the battery died? Does it have a passcode? Is it in airplane mode? All of these different factors definitely make a difference in what can be extracted.
Okay. What if you have an iPhone and you don't have a passcode? What are the options to get into it?
So we do have some technology that does what's called a brute force. That's where the technology constantly tries to do different patterns and numerics to, I guess, jailbreak, in common terms, the passcode. And now that does take time. And sometimes you can get just general information as far as serial number and phone number, email sometimes if you don't have a passcode. Again, if the system's successful in jailbreaking the phone, you could get a full extraction without a passcode.
Okay. When you say jailbreaking, is your system just running random combinations of numbers until it's
Correct.
Successful?
Yes.
And how long can that process take?
That can take months.
Okay. I want to talk to you. You said that you received 3 devices from Detective Cruz. May I approach the witness? I'm handing you what's marked as States 115. Do you recognize or know what that device is?
Yes.
Okay. And what is it?
This is the device, I believe, labeled P3, which is Chloe Driver's cell phone.
Okay.
And I did put my tag on the back of the phone.
Okay. And did you receive a search warrant to complete a forensic evaluation and extraction from this device?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, this time I would tender States 115.
Any objection to 115?
Yeah.
It's admitted.
When you do an extraction, I know you indicated like there's a lot of technology involved, but on a basic level, you're plugging in a device into very expensive technology and generating and pulling data from something. What do you generate that can then be provided to the case agent or the investigator?
So after the acquisition of the data is made, we do create reports based upon the data that is pulled. And these can be in different versions and formats. So we oftentimes create a PDF report. We create what's called a UFED reader report. It's simply the name is given by the company. It's called Celebrite, and the Celebrite tool is the one that decodes that data that's extracted from the phone and provides it in a report. The UFED reader, it gives you some options that a PDF is great in the fact that, you know, it's easily searchable, control find, if you will, but the UFED reader gives you more categories. So if you just want to look at chats, you can click it, and it's almost hyperlinked within there.
Okay. So when you're looking at something through the reader, is the UFED reader almost like an application that you can navigate through the phone data?
Correct. And
Okay.
it's similar to a PDF. It's got hyperlinks again. And the data is the same in both reports. You cannot manipulate the data at all. You can just sort of focus your efforts a little bit better.
Okay. So that kind of leads me into my next question. You said once you extract that information and provide it to the case agent, like whether through the UFED reader or the PDF, can that data be manipulated or modified in any way?
No, the actual data cannot.
Okay. And as it relates to this case, did you create both a PDF report as well as provide the complete extraction with the UFED reader to the case agent?
Yes.
Okay. Any idea how many pages your PDF report is that you generated from the extraction of this phone?
For this phone particularly, I know it was over 80,000 pages.
Okay. And Your Honor, at this time I would tender States 116, which is the PDF complete phone extraction.
No objection. State 16 is admitted.
116, sorry.
I'm sorry, 116.
Okay. So the over 80,000 page PDF report is a lot of data from this phone. I want to talk to you a little bit more about the other version of that information that is provided to the case agent. Through the UFED reader, you indicated that you can kind of hone in and narrow in on like just text messages or just photographs, things like that. Does the UFED reader application allow you to generate smaller reports based on certain search terms or certain date ranges or certain criteria?
Yes, that's one of the pros of the UFED reader. You have the ability to filter down the large, vast amount of data into what you're looking for.
Okay, so in the UFED reader, if somebody wanted to look at all of the data that you extracted from the phone and just put in the search term kill, would it generate a report of all the times the search term kill was found in the phone?
That's correct.
Okay. And when individuals that are involved in the case go through and generate those reports, does it in any way modify the data that you provided?
No, it cannot modify it. It just, again, isolates the data into a separate report.
Okay. So you're just taking the large amount of data and creating more digestible, specific reports from that large data?
Correct.
Okay. Now, do you, in some instances, actually go through and analyze and sort of comb through the data to look for certain evidence?
Yes, that's more of the intelligence analyst side of it, of the actual analysis of the data. It totally depends on the request that we receive.
Okay. Is it uncommon for investigators or individuals that seek your assistance in extracting phones to do that themselves, so to speak, to comb through the data you provide them and you don't actually get into the substance?
That's not uncommon, again, especially in an assistance type case.
Okay.
But there's times we are asked to do the extraction and the analysis, and there's times we're just asked to pull as much the extraction.
Okay. And in this case, what were you asked to do?
This was just an extraction request.
Okay. So you extracted it, you provided all the data and the UFED reader to the case agent, and did that conclude your involvement?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I have no other questions.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
You also did extractions on the two other phones in this case, correct?
Yes.
All right, and one of them belonged to the Benyamin, Ben Michael?
I had it as Brian Joyce.
Okay, and were you told that he goes by both potential names, or?
I wasn't told very many specifics about the case.
All right, do you remember what kind of phone that was?
I have it in my notes here on my report. You're asking specifically about Joyce?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that was a Samsung device.
Okay, and you generated a Cellbrite report based on that extraction as well?
Yes.
And do you recall approximately how many pages that report ended up being?
I do not know.
I said somewhere in the nature of 8,000 pages. Would that be refresh your recollection?
I don't recall the exact number, but that sounds, extractions can range from various amounts of pages.
Well, if the report indicated it was an advanced logical 12-10-2020 report from that particular phone, you would have no reason to dispute that that was the report generated from Mr. Joyce's phone.
Correct.
Okay, and then you also generated a report from Ms. Stiles' phone, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and, well, let me back up. With Mr. Joyce's phone, did you have a password for that one?
It was a pattern.
Okay, and do you recall how you were able to get that pattern?
It was provided by the detective that.
Okay. Do you remember approximately when you received that?
The devices?
No, the pattern, ma'am.
So when they drop the phones off with the search warrant and the device and the electronic control record, they also fill out what we call an electronic media retrieval form.
Okay.
This gives me all of the information as far as the contact information for the detective, any suspect information. Again, if there is a passcode, they write it on this form. And I also use this form to notate when I do certain steps as far as downloading the phone and what reports I run. Again, I received that phone on December 9th.
On December the 9th?
Yes.
Okay, and then you also did the cell phone extraction for Ms. Stiles, correct?
Yes.
And that was another iPhone, correct?
Correct.
And did you have the password for that one?
Yes,
Okay. And do you remember approximately how many pages that one was?
I do not know.
Okay. If I told you that one was 107,610, would that, do you have any reason to dispute that?
I would not.
Okay, so you don't have any dispute as to what's contained in those Cellbrite reports with respect to Mr. Joyce and Ms. Stiles as also being reports that were generated or information that was generated based on your work in this case?
That's correct.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Any reason to keep the witness?
No, Your Honor.
Subject to potential recall of the defense for purposes of today, we will excuse her.
All right, you are excused. You're subject to recall. Call your next witness, please.